Today, on Florida Sportsman, Project Dreamboat, the experts at Rocky Point Boatworks take on updating and customizing a 19-foot Twin Vee.
I'm actually painting it, doing a little rolling tip for the first time, something I don't do.
George LaBonte joins Lance and Dawn Mariotti aboard their tricked-out 261 Mako.
This project is a fine example of how a few modifications and some unique custom touches can transform a dated deck layout into a modern design.
And the technicians at Two Rivers supply upgraded horsepower for a speed-hungry bass angler.
That's one thing Jerry said, the boat runs this speed, and if it doesn't run that speed, I'm not going to be happy.
All coming up on Florida Sportsman, Project Dreamboat. Join us as we follow one-off builds to all-out restorations in Stuart, Florida's Dreamboat District, home to some of the best custom boat builders in the world. From modest to over-the-top, industry experts from the district's premier facilities show how it's done. Fiberglass repair, custom paintwork, engine rigging, electronics installations, and more. And boating editor George LaBonte shares the stories of boaters who have already turned their dreams into reality. This is Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat.
Hey everybody, Dave Singer, owner of Rocky Point Boatworks, formerly of MCU. I had a lot of good times over there at MCU. We learned a lot, owe a lot over to the boys over there. Big shout out to them. But it's time to move on. I went ahead and made a decision to break off and start up my own business here in Stuart, Florida. So we got a lot of positive things going on here. One of them is a really cool project. It's a 19 Twin Vee. The customer had some ideas to try to modernize the boat. I'm actually painting it, doing a little rolling tip for the first time, something I don't do. We're gonna be putting a new Yamaha F-115 on there, putting a new C-Star steering system on it, a lot of wiring, got a Mako trolling motor going on there. So we're gonna show you how we're gonna bow mount that. He really wanted the windshield redone. It had some crazing, it's showing age. And an easy way to make your boat look better is to just simply add some acrylic to the dash. So we're able to put together a pretty darn good plan, and it's a pretty nice little build. I'm pretty excited. Thankfully, the owner has taken the liberty to remove the majority of the stuff. So I didn't have to go crazy and spend a lot of time stripping this boat out. So a couple hatches, a couple screws, it just saves money in the long run. So once we got this boat all de-rigged, one of the first things we were going to attack is the windshield. Once we took our measurements and we got our height determined because of the grab bar, we don't want to interfere with that. We then take the windshield and just simply take it to a piece of cardboard, paper, whatever you want. In my case, I use cardboard. I put that on there and I go ahead and trace the inner diameter of it. And I also make some reference marks for myself for later on because it's very important when it comes time to rebend it. So after making our template and all that stuff on the cardboard, I have the radiant rod at a certain temperature. You go ahead and you take your material, you put it on there, you use a heat gun to speed up the process. Yeah, definitely like waiting for paint to dry, this spot. If you have any hot dogs or your lunch or anything, you probably heat them up while you're waiting. I didn't bring nothing today. Once I get it off the heat table there, so I have a really advanced way to make sure this baby stays flat in the cooling process. I use some old batteries and make sure that it's super flat, so when I do transfer it to the new material to router out and do my stuff, makes it a little easier on me. So I repeat that same process on the other side, and now I got a nice flat piece that I'm ready to put down on the new material, transfer it, and move on from there. Now I'm gonna make it taller. So you kind of got to pay attention to your angles, because once you start bending things, you have kickback and setback and all this other angles and a lot of geometry involved. You got to accommodate for that. It might end right at the bend, so we'd have to maybe add to our wing so we can have a little bit more meat up top so it looks good to the eye. It's not like gonna affect the performance of it, it's just we're looking for aesthetics. Once I did that, drew it out, took a good look, it looked good to me, we're gonna move on, jigsaw it out, router it, etc. Once that's done, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna sand it. And that's a process we work up through certain grits. Once that's all done, we bring it to the buffer and we work our way and we buff and polish it. What I like to use, I got a couple different rouges. The brown rouge helps take out deep scratches from the sanding process. Once you work that a little bit, you move on over to your White Rouge, and the White Rouge is a finishing compound. It finalizes it, gives it that really nice shiny gloss, and it makes it look like I never even cut, sanded it, or did anything. You just can't tell. And then we go ahead and start our heating procedure, getting ready to do the bend. Again, I don't want to give away all my secrets, but it goes by feel again. It's all in the hip. I kind of got a mental count of how long I'm doing this, and you want to cycle how long you have one face down to the rod, and then you flip it again, and then you might see me work the heat gun in there just to keep the heat consistent on the backside. Once I feel that the plastic is ready to go, I'm going to take that off the table there, and I'm going to bring it over to my old template, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hand form that to where the old radius was, and I have my other set marks in there from the old mounting marks and everything like that. I'm able to move to the other side once it's all heated, get it bent, make sure my marks are on point, and it's going to bolt right on your boat with no problems. I think it's a major improvement. It looks good. It doesn't look odd. It fits the boat right. I got it at the right height to the grab bar. You still be able to get your hands under there without hitting the windshield. I think the customer is going to be very happy.
When we come back, George LaBonte joins Dreamboat owners Lance and Dawn Mariotti aboard their 261 Mako in this week's One Man's Dreamboat segment. This segment brought to you by Two Rivers Boatworks. Exceptional design, quality, and craftsmanship.
Dreaming of transforming your boat into the envy of the fleet? The experts at Two Rivers Boatworks are dedicated to customizing your boat to your specific needs and personality. Specializing in fiberglass and composites repair, professional painting, systems installation, and more. Founded by boating enthusiasts, we understand the enjoyment of being on the water, offering exceptional design, craftsmanship, and quality, so you can spend more time on the water than dreaming about it. Visit our facility in Stuart, Florida, and turn your boating dreams into reality.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Join us for this week's One Man's Dreamboat segment with Florida Sportsman boating editor George LaBonte as we feature anglers who have already launched their dream. Florida Sportsman began these features 30 years ago, and the dreams just keep getting better.
These days, you've probably noticed a trend in boat designs that effectively incorporates both fishing features and family-friendly comfort features into a single platform. This floor plan was not so popular 25 years ago. However, that doesn't mean you can't modify a boat from that era to take advantage of today's more practical designs. Join us today in the nation's oldest city, where we spend the day exploring with Lance and Dawn Mariotti aboard their fully restored 1992 Mako 261.
We found the boat in Micanopy. It was an eBay purchase. We then turned around, brought the boat home, and I knew it needed a transom. Cosmetically, it really didn't need much else other than some TLC. We got into the transom, realized it was rotten, stringers were okay. Once we pulled the transom apart, we then decided to go ahead and enclose the transom and add a bracket. Once that arrived, that's when the monster reared its head, and I think more beer did more damage to the boat than we did. We decided to rebuild the bilge area for larger access so we can get inside and work on it. Tried to figure out where to put a bait well. Didn't like the one on the factory floor, so we then turned around and built a new leaning post with the bait well installed. Of course, then the old consoles were low and the electronics were hard to see, so then the console was rebuilt, raised up to where the electronics were at eye level.
This project is a fine example of how a few modifications and some unique custom touches can transform a dated deck layout into a modern design.
The dive door was interesting. I've got a friend, Jim Craig, who owns Cracker Boatworks. He is the one that actually started doing the door with us. He did the engineering on it for the opening angles and the trajectory for it to open inside completely. The door is as thick as that hull side, and that hull's been reinforced about 6 foot in each direction. So the hull in that position there from stringer up to the cap is about 3 inches thick. But it was a work in progress, and there was a learning curve involved because we could not find anywhere where someone had done it previously. The addition of the Armstrong ladder, which is mounted flushed into the hull, so we built a fiberglass box, installed into the hull, and then that ladder actually screws into once it's inserted into the hull. After we started working on the boat and started fishing the boat, we always had to carry a cooler with us. Didn't like to have to carry the cooler down the dock at the conch house, so we took the boat back in this past winter and installed a cooler in the transom. It's quite large. Just to test it, we did buy enough beer to fill it, and it carried 163 cans. So I don't know what that equates to quart-wise, but it carries about 60 pounds of ice if needed. So with the bracket, we've got a flat platform that we could actually install the Rodan trolling motor on a shuttle slide, keep that centered on the bracket when it's in storage, and to deploy it, simply slide the motor out on the shuttle slide, deploy it. Because when we fish, we've always fished stern into the drift to where we can keep the motors in reverse and the boat stays true to drift instead of worrying with the bow being pushed in the wind. Essentially, our port corner becomes the bow of the boat. The taco rub rail that we chose, I liked because of the ease of installation, where it is actually an insert into the rub rail and you're not screwing through a solid piece of stainless. We also installed the LED taco navigation lights in the rub rail itself. Amazing how bright those are. Very happy we did that and got rid of the clutter in the deck. Up in the bow of the boat where the factory Mako seats were at, we left those in. Of course, my wife likes to cruise when we go on vacation and cruise to the sandbar. And I didn't want to do just the standard drop-in backrest that you see manufacturers doing. So I found some hinges. They're actually tabletop supports that are made by Southco. We took those, I embedded a box in each gunnel side, and with that, we actually made cushions that are part of the combing bolsters, and then when the combing bolsters need to be backrest, they simply pop forward and lock into place.
We take a lot of people out on the boat for like a lot of fun and good times, and everybody needs to have a comfortable place to sit. I didn't actually ask for the pop-out backrest, I just asked for a backrest, and then he, of course, likes everything clean and designed on the boat, so that's when he started searching for the hinges to make them pop in and out.
Dawn's influence certainly made the boat much more family-friendly and practical for everyone, which isn't a coincidence.
Our boat is basically an extension of our lifestyle. And the reason I started the blog was because our babies grew up on the boat, and we've done a lot of boating and family time boating. And I just think families that boat together, stay together. You have to be a team on a boat. So I wanted to give other moms that want to boat with their young families ideas of places you could travel, things you could do, and besides just fishing. Any day on a boat is a good day. I would rather spend any day on a boat than doing anything else.
After enjoying a relaxing day sightseeing in St. Augustine with Lance and Dawn, I'd say they absolutely ended up with a boat that suits the needs of the entire Mariotti family, and one that should bring the family together for years to come.
After an initial investment of $6,000 and spending $94,000 on repairs and custom modifications, the cost of Mariotti's Dreamboat comes to a total of $100,000. When we return, the expert crew at Two Rivers performs a repower for an angler looking to optimize performance. This segment brought to you by Starbright. Clean and protect.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman, Project Dreamboat. Join us as the technicians at TRB repower a bass boat with goals of increased speed and economy.
So we had a customer call in by the name of Jerry. He had a 21-foot Triton with an older 250 Optimax Pro Access on it that he was looking to repower. He was looking for more reliability, more hole shot, a little bit more speed. Jerry's a big tournament bass fisherman. He needed something that he could depend on to get him from spot to spot, get him out of the shallow water quickly so that he can continue to win these tournaments.
So when the boat came in, I got the motor in, I called him, let him know it was here. He dropped it off and told us he expected to pick it up the next day, which if you've ever met him, he's probably one of the best customers you want to have, funniest, which is, you know, kind of what I like. I like people that are like that, very outgoing, it's that way or no way. So we started de-rigging it, you know, boat came in, you know, messy, oily, 8 years of grime. So we pressure cleaned the whole back of the boat, got everything as clean as we could, jack plate, everything. you know, degreased everything really good, and just got it clean so we could actually start working on it. You know, basically when you pull the side pans, it's easier to start with the throttle and shift cables, and you know, you disconnect your batteries, obviously make sure your battery switch is off, and just, you know, disconnect the harness, and whatever harnesses else are left, you disconnect those as well. Once we got everything all de-rigged from the boat, we got in there and we broke bolts loose on the jack plate, hooked the straps up, you know, use the A-frame inside the shop to help us. It's user-friendly. You can do it with one person if you need to. So we got that hooked up, pulled the motor off the boat, brought it over and put it on a stand, and then prepped the boat, you know, cleaned up a little bit more and prepped it for the new motor. The reason for making the switch is, one, in fuel economy, and two, going from a V6 to V8, the torque difference. Obviously, you know, he's in the past ran the motor hard and stuff like that, and he runs them hard. That's one thing Jerry said, the boat runs this speed, and if it doesn't run that speed, I'm not going to be happy. It's time to put the motor on. You know, we pretty much pull it back over to the boat, hang it back at the same holes, same motor pretty much, other than a V8 to a V6, but it's got a jack plate so you can adjust the height, but it's all in the sea trial.
So now that the motor's hung on the back of the boat, Bobby did a great job. He turned this job around for us really quickly. We want to get the boat in the water and do some testing of it. We want to get some props on the boat, try different props out. Jerry was very specific in the fact that he wanted a very quick hole shot. So we need to get the right prop on the boat to make sure that Jerry's going to be happy at the end of it.
When we return, the professionals at Rocky Point Boatworks roll out some fresh paint on the Twin Vee project. This segment brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO Offshore.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman, Project Dreamboat. Join us as the experts at Rocky Point Boatworks make easy work of rolling on a fresh coat of paint onto the Twin Vee project.
Hey, welcome back to Rocky Point Boatworks. So we got this 19-foot Twin Vee all stripped out, and the windshield's all done. We're moving along. We're knocking some stuff out on this project. The owner brought in the paint. It's supposed to be super easy. Roll it on, couple coats, out the door. The owner wasn't looking to paint the whole boat, just the hull sides. So we had to go ahead and put a little thought into where we're gonna break the paint so it would look aesthetically pleasing.
If you know me in real life, not TV time here, I am not really good with stuff that's sticky.
I'm sticker deficient, or whatever you want to call it. I hate taping stuff off. I have a hard time making straight lines, so it took me a little longer. So it said 220 or Scotch-Brite, scuff it up a little bit, and just went over it and made sure everything looked good. I'm just cleaning it with a little acetone. Get any grease, wax, anything like that off. You can use Wipeout, but this works fine, dries good. Getting any dust off. We blew it off a second ago. So we're getting ready to roll some primer, and this is a little bit new to me, so I had to read some instructions. All right, so after reading the instructions, it says if it's hot out, which it is, it's very humid, they recommend for a brush or roll application, should be thinned 5 to 10% with Total Boat Special Brushing Thinner 100. So we got to figure out how much we're going to use on this here boat. I am truly out of my element. I am not a painter. I think we'll do 10 ounces. I think that should be enough. Maybe we'll go 12. So we went ahead and stirred this product up because it says do not shake. Back when I was a young kid, we used to churn our own butter, so trying to use those techniques I learned on the farm. It's really helping out. Getting a nice whipped effect here. We went ahead and got everything mixed up according to the directions, put it in a paint tray, used the 4-inch foam roller, started rolling. My Uncle Ray I used to paint with him. That's where I learned my rolling skills. Never thought I'd be doing it on a boat. They said not to exceed 3 millimeter, which I don't think I did. So we got it on though. It wasn't a big deal. Very easy as advertised. So after it's dried, we went ahead and we had to give it a quick little sand because we want to make it really smooth. I made sure I didn't try to take too much material off. I want a good bonding surface. So now we're ready to put the top coat on, this wet edge. The customer picked Aqua Mist. It's a really pretty color. I'm a fan of that color on boats. So I followed the instructions on the can for the thinning process. It's the same as the primer, and just went ahead and started rolling it on. Roll it in small, manageable sections. So now that we're not doing primer and we're putting the actual top coat on there, we want to pay attention a little bit more. So a little bit more stress on my end now. I'm making sure that when I'm rolling that I'm not leaving any dry edges from the roller and those kind of things. So really got to pay attention to that. I was a little stressed because I don't want to mess this up. So far, it's easier than I had imagined, and I have not had to use the tip because I don't see any of the bubbles they were talking about that you would find, but I got my brush ready just in case, so we're just going to keep going with this. I'm pretty impressed actually. It's going on pretty easy. We got nice weather this morning. Originally, I thought I would have to tip this thing, so I did buy the proper brush, and I followed some instructions from other people in the business that do this, and I found that I really didn't have to do that. Once it rolled on, it started laying out again, like I couldn't believe it. I thought I sprayed it. It was amazing. This is crazy. It's just weird how it just lays right out. So we just repeated the process on the other side of the boat. Didn't run into any issues, just continued to follow what we did. You do have to wait 16 hours between coats, so go ahead and plan your project out accordingly. The extra coats are definitely worth it. You'll find after your first coat, it's a very thin coat, so you might see some bleed through. Don't get discouraged. Your second coat's gonna cover it, and so forth. After your third coat, this thing looked amazing. People that are walking up seeing the boat after I painted it, they're asking who sprayed it. I was real proud of myself, man. If I can do it, you can do it. Easy as that. So after all the paint's done, we're getting ready to hang a new Yamaha on that baby, and we're gonna go ahead and finish the rig job and get this baby ready for the water.
Next week on Florida Sportsman, Project Dreamboat. The professionals at Two Rivers hit the water, dialing in the Triton for optimum performance. Rocky Point Boatworks installs brand new power and rigging on the Twin Vee project. George LaBonte joins Jimmy and Jared Helms aboard their custom backcountry pro guide. And the craftsmen at Stewart and Isla Mirada Boatworks begin constructing their newly designed skiff.